Hi everyone, and ho ho ho, it's Chenzo from Reality Art Pod, and I'm here to talk about episode 3 of Big Brother Reindeer Games. Before I dive in, as always, I put a link in the subject of the video so you can watch the playlist and get caught up on my previous recaps. Also, in honor of Big Brother Reindeer Games, I decided to drink eggnog while I record this video. It's kind of gross. Like, what's wrong with eggnog? But I'm committed to finishing this mug of eggnog, and if things get silly along the way, that's not my problem. Where we last left off on the Reindeer Games, Frankie, Cody, and Xavier were sent to a toy sorting Santa's showdown, where ultimately Cody was sent packing. Coming into episode 3, Josh says the games are heating up like a cup of hot cocoa. Today they're wearing holiday tropical outfits. Nicole tells Taylor she wants the girls to make it to the end. Xavier asks Danielle why his alliance didn't save him when they had the chance over Nicole. She tells him that they needed him to take out a big competitor. New friends Nicole and Brittany are nervous about Xavier and Danielle bonding. Brittany says Xavier is under Danielle's thumb. Nicole agrees, so they're sketched out now by Danielle. The doorbell rings and in comes Santa's newest helper, Derek X, or as Julie would say, ooh, Derek X. Now there's a new Santa's helper, so y'all can leave Jordan alone. The holidays mean a lot to Derek X and Claire because they first traveled together at Christmas. Derek leans against a white piano and welcomes a pianist to the house. I hope the Christmas crooner didn't dress himself because his outfit is whack. He sings his own little version of 12 Days of Christmas. His true love gave to him 2 angry texts and a voicemail dumping him. Brittany hates the Christmas crooner and so do I. She says that she doesn't blame this girl for dumping him. He starts kind of wailing his song instead of crooning. I hated this performance and this guy. Derek says that they need to search around the house to unscramble letter cookies and find out why this guy's ex dumped him. It should really spell out that terrible fedora, and apparently getting a reason why she dumped him will give him some closure. The challenge seems really difficult. Then Derek X gives them some hints. Taylor, Danielle, and Josh figure out the riddle. As they race to tell the crooner, Josh says, "I can't believe I didn't get it. That's my pet peeve." Taylor tells the crooner that he is too clingy. Then he says, "Too clingy? It's romantic." This guy sucks, and I see it. He's not finding closure in this. Ladies, avoid this man like the plague. So Taylor wins the Naughty Nice challenge, and she gets a 2-minute advantage in the Jingle Bell Brawl. Taylor's target is Frankie. She meets with Frankie, who tries to tell her how to play her game. Xavier advises Taylor to give the disadvantage to Xavier or Josh. Josh also wants to take the disadvantage. Ultimately, Taylor decides to put Josh on the naughty list. The Jingle Bell Brawl is basically Tiny Vito, where they're building a stacked portrait of a gingerbread man. Taylor will have a 2-minute advantage, and Josh won't get to see his answer key for the first 5 minutes. The challenge starts. Taylor, Josh, and Frankie are doing pretty well. Brittany is shaking like a leaf. She knocks over her piece and shouts at her hand, "You bitch!" Danielle hates this challenge. I've never seen someone get so animated about this before. She's shouting and laughing maniacally. Nicole hits her head on the box and knocks her pieces over, and Nicole finishes her puzzle and celebrates her victory, but then Big Brother tells her puzzle is wrong, but then she finishes it again for real this time, so she wins the Jingle Bell Brawl. Frankie says thank you for ending that, and they're all happy that it's over. Nicole has to send one player to Santa's showdown. If they lose, they go home, but if they win, they have to pick someone else to try the showdown with a minute less time than them. I really like how they completely changed the format every week on the show. It kind of reminds me of Sequester, and everyone always has to be on their toes. Nicole and Frankie meet, and they want to target Xavier. Santa's showdown is a maze inside a hamster wheel. Mischievous Jack Frost has hidden Mrs. Claus's favorite ornament in a maze. They have to start with 5.5 minutes to complete it. Every person who competes in this challenge gets a minute less to do it, and the first person that can't do it is eliminated from the game. Nicole decides to send Frankie to try it first. Frankie gets in there, and I have no doubt that Frankie's going to achieve this. Back in the house, Danielle is feeling self-conscious and nervous about having to do the challenge. She doesn't think that she can do it. Brittany campaigns to Josh, and they make a handshake deal not to nominate each other for the competition. Frankie ends up getting done in only 2 minutes and says, "Ho, ho, ho, hello. Let's go, Santa." Frankie gives Derek X a hug without jumping on him. Both feet stay solidly on the ground. Frankie comes back into the house. Nicole and Brittany tell Frankie not to pick Xavier because he'll win and choose Brittany. Brittany tells Frankie to send in Danielle. Frankie decides to send Xavier into the showdown. Xavier completes it with seconds to spare. Back in the house, Brittany is terrified of the showdown. Xavier celebrates with Frankie and tells Danielle that he's going to choose Brittany to go into the showdown. So Brittany's crying and begs Xavier not to choose her. Nicole comes in and asks him not to choose Brittany as well. Xavier tells Nicole, whoever I send is going home. So Xavier ends up choosing Brittany, and she's not happy. She feels defeated. Brittany takes her turn on the maze, and I'm watching this. I'm nervous. Me and this eggnog, it's like Taylor and the Lays. Inside, Nicole is crying. Nobody thinks Brittany can do it. Brittany actually ends up shockingly bodying the maze with like a minute and a half left on the clock. She starts crying and announces, "I'm crying in the candy cane forest." And she diaries that she wants this to be a message to her kids to never give up. She says she hates all of the people in the house because they sent her to her death. Brittany returns to the house and cries to them all, and she has to decide between Josh, Taylor, and Danielle. It seems like Josh is safe because they made that handshake deal. Taylor would rather go into the challenge sooner than later. Nicole and Frankie tell Brittany that someone told Xavier to choose Brittany. Brittany asks Xavier, and he says he chose Brittany because he was trying to keep Danielle safe, which paints a bigger target on Danielle. So Brittany does decide to choose Danielle to do the challenge, who tells us that she's pissed and that Brittany was her girl and she feels betrayed. Danielle's showdown doesn't start off great. She's not really figuring out how to use the hamster wheel. It's very obvious that Danielle's never had a hamster. In the process, she does get pretty good with the hamster wheel and gets pretty close to finishing the puzzle, but in the end, in the house, they hear the sound of an evil giggle, which means Danielle did not complete the maze. When they hear it, the house guests in the house get emotional and cry. Taylor says that she said yes to Big Brother in the first place because of Danielle, and Xavier cries, saying that his and Taylor's wins both all started with Danielle. Danielle comes back in the house and ends off on a positive note, saying that she had a good time. She opens up her gift and finds out she won the $5,000, and she tells us naughty girl just got paid. So here we have to say goodbye to Danielle, someone who is a Big Brother legend. Did anyone else have the Big Brother 3 DVD box set? That thing was big and heavy. I'm happy that we got Danielle on modern Big Brother and newer fans got to find out about her. Although I do have to say that Big Brother Reindeer Games wasn't really the show where she could really show off her strategic ability. She's a really smart social player and she really wanted to be the villain, but unfortunately I don't think there was enough time or space in this show for her to do either of those things. Ultimately, I don't think her being here really affected her legacy at all. I said in my cast reaction, but I really do hope that her being on this show creates an appetite either with her or with the fans for her to come back, maybe for Big Brother, maybe for the traitors. She said she hasn't come back to Big Brother because she can't take off of work for that amount of time, so I'm just hopeful this isn't the last time that we see her because that would suck. Moving on to my, I guess you can call them awards. I'm gonna give out my Cole and my present for the episode. This is for who I feel played the best and the worst, not who I like more. My Cole for worst gameplay of the episode almost went to Brittany this week. I feel like if she was really so afraid of the challenge, she should have stepped up and volunteered to go first. And because of not getting it out of the way, she almost went home. But ultimately, I'm gonna give the Cole for this episode to Xavier, who started the episode off already on shaky grounds in the game. He openly strategizes with Danielle in the living room, making a target out of both of them. Then his closest ally in the house, Taylor, wins the Naughty and Nice competition. All he has to do is nothing. He tells Taylor, give me the disadvantage. The why behind that being to protect Taylor from Frankie. Then after Frankie sent him into the showdown and he won the showdown, Frankie told him, I sent you in there so you could win and be safe, and he totally believed it. Then he has to choose between 4 players to go into the showdown, and he ends up choosing the weakest of the 4, Brittany, which was also really dumb because you're now safe for the episode when you want to keep people around that you can beat in the showdown the next episode. Add on top of that, his score in the showdown was the worst out of everybody, worse than Brittany and worse than Danielle probably. So now I'll have to let you all know and promise not to tell anyone, but I finished that eggnog and the things that I'm saying I may regret in the morning. But my present for best gameplay in this episode is Frankie. Firstly, I feel like his personality in this episode was the best it's ever been. He comes into this episode, his best friend was just voted out. His ideal move is just to lay low, fade into the background, which is hard for him to do. He has a big personality and he stands out. He has enough of a threat level in the house that Taylor won the disadvantage and wanted to give it to him, but the risk was just too high, so she didn't give it to him. Then when Nicole wins the Jingle Bell Brawl, the ideal strategy is to go first. Everyone should have been asking Nicole to send them in first. It's scary, but fortune favors the brave. After he wins the challenge, he nominates Xavier and he tells us if Xavier loses, he's out of the game, and if he wins, I'll tell him that I put him in to save him. And Xavier ended up believing it, so the gift goes to Frankie. It's a Christmas miracle. If I judge the episode based on who went home and the overall result, I would say this is the worst of all 3. However, like I said earlier, I thought that the formatting twist and the challenge was really fun and created a lot of intrigue. It was really good TV, but that's all I have to say about this episode. If you like the episode, don't forget to subscribe. I'll be back on Monday to talk about the next episode of Reindeer Games. I'm also covering Survivor and the challenge, so if you watch those, check out my videos. Until next time, bye!